bit more work to the Triumph. These are the Mark II concentric carburettors, the square body ones. As far as I know, the only thing that really changed between these and the Mark I was the casting that everything was built into. All the jets and holes and pilot screws and all the rest of it, I'm nearly sure are interchangeable. But it starts with the usual, strip down and clean, a little bit of inspection as you go along the way. So first thing, take the slides out. In this case they were a bit stuck, but with a bit of carb cleaner and WD they popped out quite easily. These rubbers are knackered, both of them are split, which is a bit annoying because I didn't notice, so I'll have to order a couple of these. But again, just work through it. At least the clips are good, I can use those again. They're the nice thin stainless ones, not whacking great Jubilee clips that you often see on these things. So this pair now has to be turned into 2 single units. But before that, while there's still a handful to hold on to, loosen up all the clips. Save struggling later with things twisting in your hand and such. As you can probably see from the screen there, the hoses are so old that they've gone brittle. That plastic tubing tends to just go solid and it's almost breakable in your fingers. So we'll start with removing those. This stuff has gone so hard I'd be in fear of breaking the little banjo unions that go on the bottom, so I shall warm up the plastic, hopefully soften it. I won't be using it again, so I don't mind if it's charred and horrible, as long as it goes soft and can be pulled off of the banjo union. Just keep the flame moving so it doesn't concentrate too much in one spot. And remember, the pipe carried petrol for a long time, so there's a good chance it'll catch on fire. With the little pipe in the middle, be careful that you don't overheat the banjos. They have a low melting point as well. So back to the carb bodies, there's a strap across the top to space them out, and the choke mechanism on the front. A link bar between the lever and the 2 choke valves. So start with the bar. Followed by the chokes. I'm taking the choke valves out just to inspect them. They don't normally need much, just to clean up, maybe a bit of lubrication, but just to check them in, just in case. The choke clips, the little clips for holding the choke valve open, are part held in with the actual choke valve itself, so they take a bit of fiddling. But after that you've got a single unit in your hand, and it's time to take the float bowls off and inspect. Sometimes these screws can be a right pain, but I find if you get a little centre punch and just break the bond, as you can see here, first of all you set a little punch mark square onto the screw, and then you'll tip it to the side and it will suddenly click into place. Then it's a simple case of undoing with a screwdriver. The centre pop that you put in the screw, if you're fussy, can be tapped back into place by placing the screw on a hard surface and gently tapping the centre dot back, the metal back to where it was originally, leaving hardly any mark on it at all. And then it's straightforward, inspect and replace as necessary. This particular carb was very clean, almost to the point where I thought it was brand new. But I'm in there now, so I may as well carry on. Remove the gasket, of course. I've got a replacement for that. All the jets and screws should be undone. All the air galleries should be blown through with an air line, and then just a few minutes with cleaning fluid, a gentle wire brush, and just work on it and clean it all up. Of course, if you have an ultrasonic carb cleaner or an ultrasonic cleaner, this can be just put in the bath and turned on, but I haven't got one of those yet. So back to the traditional way, which is a bit therapeutic anyway, and just generally work around it, removing all the crap until you're happy that everything's clean. A good carb cleaner is always very handy at these places. I get mine in a gallon can and use one of those hairdresser's squeegee bottles. It's nice to keep the outside nice and clean, make it look as if it's been worked on. Keep it in fitting with the rest of the bike. Much the same with the second carb here. Undoing the float bowl and using the centre punch technique to loosen the screw enough to be undone with the screwdriver. Just making sure I haven't missed any small jets or orifices to be cleaned. A general inspection again. Here I'm opening the rebuild kit. Consists of a float gasket, fibre washers, and the O-rings that go on the air screw and throttle stop screw. No float needles though. There's a bit of a debate on which is best. Some of the people prefer the traditional brass tipped float needle, whereas others prefer the rubberized tip, Vital I think it's called. I prefer the Vital. This pair of carbs came with them as standard and they're both in good condition, so don't need replacing. Again, the float height on these carburettors is, well, almost non-adjustable. There's no adjustment tab on the float. The only way to adjust the float height, if it needs moving, is to actually physically move the valve seating, the needle valve seating, in the float bowl casting. But lucky enough, this is very rare. The carbs have to be really old to need that sort of attention, and these are simply not that old. These carbs still had the original main jet strainer cap, so again, cleaning out the bottom, I don't know what you call it, drain plug, making sure everything fits nice, and so don't forget to put the strainer back on if it's available. Again, a lot of people remove these, I don't really know why, can do nothing but help. And of course the O-rings that seal the air screw and throttle stop screw should be changed for new ones. They're part of the kit, it'd be a silly thing to just leave them in the bag when they're readily available. And of course a quick wire brush on the threads to make everything go back together nice and easy. The O-rings themselves can be a bit tight, but just take your time, don't force them. They'll soften up as you push them down over the threads and just pop into place. Both carbs cleaned and reassembled, it's back to putting them back together as a pair. I started off with the choke mechanism, which might have been a mistake. I think next time I do them I'll start off with the crossbar to locate them. That keeps them from moving around. Here I'm actually at the stage of putting the crossbar on, but for future reference I think the crossbar should go on first. It stops everything wiggling when you're at it. There is a slight adjustment side to side, so there's no point in pinching these right up until the carbs are actually on the bike. The spigots on the head will determine the distance apart, and then after that I think it would be the point where you'd nip this little bar up to secure everything in position at the correct distance. The last job of course is to put the connecting bar between the two choke mechanisms. This is just two locating pegs, bar held in place with split pins. And then lastly the fuel pipes. The small rubber tube between the two, making sure the clips are easy access to be undone or done up as required. Not forgetting the fibre washers required. fitting the carburetors can be a bit fiddly. I find that if you leave the rubbers off, squidge the carburetors into the air cleaner box, the aluminium cast in there, and then fit the rubbers, life is easier. I also leave the hose clips off as well, just to make life a bit easier. You can always undo the clip, hook it around the rubber and do it up later. Also the rubbers themselves, if you get good quality ones, they tend to be a bit softer and more flexible than the cheaper ones. This is a big help. As you can see here, you fiddle the carburetors back into the airbox, hook the rubber over the carburettor and then move it forward onto the stub, the cylinder head stub. I know I'm using a screwdriver here, but if you can avoid that, so much the better. The danger is the screwdriver can tear the rubber, but I got away with it this time. And then once they all slip into place, just jiggle them until they feel comfortable. Make sure the rubbers are seating properly and haven't puckered up behind where you can't see them. And then, as I say, the two hose clamps, just wrap them around the rubber and do them up. I prefer these slimline stainless ones. I think they look better and they tend to grip the carburetors better as well than the big wide Jubilee clips that are readily available. But it's a simple job to just wiggle them and keep them. Again, make sure that you can get access to the screws as you're doing them up. It's very easy to put them on and then realise that the head of the screw is facing the wrong way or is at a different angle. And me being pedantic, they have to be parallel. This just leaves these foam seals that go against the edge of the airbox. Just be careful you don't tear them. They're pretty useless anyway, they don't seal properly. But get as good a seal as you can. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching.